So we've introduced the concept of championship leadership, and to understand it, it's not a trophy. It's a mindset. It's a decision that you make every single day. I was listening to a podcast and there was a gentleman on there and he was talking about WD-40. I think he was the CEO of the company at one time. He was retired, and he talked about how they stopped calling individuals leaders inside of their organizations and they started calling them coaches. You see, coaches have to know the rules of the game. They have to have the knowledge of the game in order to coach, teach, and mentor their employees to do the appropriate jobs. And that is what is so important. You see, winning a championship one time, it's just not something that you achieve. It's not just something that you do just once and then you talk about it forever. I was great doing this. I was great doing that, reliving the past. That's not how it works. Championship leadership is about a daily answer to a question that you have to ask yourself. Who are you in the difficult times when the costs are high? Are you willing to live the lifestyle of a championship leader? And I want to read something to you because the research shows that 58% of voluntary workplace behaviors are influenced by ethical leaders who model behaviors that are aligned with the organization standard. 58% of leaders, ethical leaders, that exhibit modeling behaviors consistent with the rules of the game. You cannot win NFL championships or NCAA championships or either high school championships if you're constantly always getting penalized. You have to know what the rules of the game are. You see, I've seen many leaders fail throughout my time working with the military and just in life in general. And they didn't fail because of a lack of intelligence or talent or information. They simply couldn't apply the knowledge of organizational behavior theory smartly at the micro level, at the interpersonal level, to find out what makes employees tick inside of the organization. They failed because when the situation became difficult, they always sought an easy way out. And they always negotiated against the organization standard. Where values collide, people divide. And I always generally say when your personal value system collides with the organizational value system, the organization's generally going to win. The organization, any organization standard that bends under pressure, that's not a standard. That's a preference. That's a choice. That's like going to a restaurant and having a preference on what type of meal that you want to have. You see, championship leadership is won through moral courage, discipline, and consistency when no one sees it. That means you're in the books, you're gaining the knowledge, you're understanding it. That's the intelligence part. But if you're smart, how do you apply it inside of the organization efficiently and effectively? How do you do that? You see, championship leadership, it makes ethical decisions rather than always finding the easy way out. It's about being accountable for your behaviors and to your responsibilities without compromising your integrity. Knowing that you're moving forward with moral courage, especially when there's pushback. And when you start getting that pushback, you have to tell individuals it's non-negotiable. I remember there was a time in my previous organization that I worked with, and I had a supervisor that wanted me to compromise my integrity. He wanted me to sign a document or some documents about some numbers that deal with the budget. And I was like, absolutely not. I am not compromising my integrity because based on previous knowledge of me working inside of this organization, I simply learned that the majority of the leaders that I worked with, they didn't have any integrity. They would not stand up and back the organization standard, which literally crushed the morale inside of this organization. And you're talking about an organization that I would say was full of mature adults. The average age had to be at least 35 or 40 inside of that organization. And the majority of those individuals that did work inside that organization had a graduate's degree or higher. It just literally because of the counterproductive behaviors exhibited by the leaders, literally destroyed the morale inside of that organization. And we're talking about understanding organizational behavior theory at the micro level because you have to apply it. And you may be able to apply that information when everything's going good. But what are you going to do when things don't look good? You have to be able to reflect back on the past, on that past data, and you have to be able to look at other people's experiences and learn vicariously from them because the past is nothing more than data. You have to be able to learn from it. And that data that you get, make sure it provides some type of validity and some type of reliability. Please, with me going through my education process, one thing that I've learned is do your research based upon peer-reviewed articles, not this pseudoscience or either space junk that's out there floating in the ether. Google is a very powerful tool. YouTube is a very powerful tool because it will provide you little hints, little nuggets to where you can go and conduct your research on. If you don't know how to read a research article, then simply ask Google, how do I read a research article? And it will provide you tutorials on how to do it. But you have to know what it takes. What are the rules of the game for you to become an ethical leader, a championship leader? So I asked this question at the end of the week. When did your organizational standard, the last time you had a confrontation inside of your organization, a conflict, when did it cost you? And what did it cost you? And if you feel like sharing that, drop it in the comments, go to my website, get my email, shoot me an email, and follow along on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I look forward to seeing you.